Hello, and welcome to the Thrive Mindset Podcast. I am so glad you are here with me. My name is Carrie Dahle, and I am your host. I am an entrepreneur, author, podcaster, manifester, and motivator. And I am on a mission to empower you to create the life of your dreams. If you are looking to up-level your life, relationships, finances, productivity, and success, you have come to the right place. I will share with you tools, resources, strategies, my failures, and my successes that have all helped me achieve the life of my dreams. It is my goal with this podcast to help you see your potential and empower you to create the life of your dreams. So let's get to it. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Thrive Mindset Podcast. It is so great to be with you on this beautiful fall day. I'm your host, Carrie Dahle. And as always, we're going to dive into ways to help you thrive and manifest your best life, one mindset shift at a time. As I sit here today and look outside and watch the leaves changing and the weather changing, I'm really compelled to talk to you about something I'm feeling strongly about as we move into fall. And that's the idea of change. Change is one of those things that can feel so intimidating and really quite uncomfortable if you don't like that. But for others of us, it's actually really powerful. And it can be powerful for you too, even if you aren't as enamored by change as I may be. But it's really important to remember that the transitions that we often overlook, those little small shifts, right? The ones that move us from one stage to the other are where so much magic happens. And if we just stop to notice, wow, it becomes that much more magical. So as we head into this new season, I want to ask you, are you paying attention to the moments of change happening in your life? The things that are happening right now that may seem like subtle shifts, but are they just subtle shifts? Are they just little things? Or are they leading up to something big in your life? Fall is such a beautiful reminder of how natural change is. I mean, seriously, just look outside. I know it's just the beginning of it and it depends on where you live, but the leaves begin to change colors. The air, it feels different. The temperatures are cooler. And everything around you seems to be slowing down just a little bit as the world, as our bodies, as the animals all start to prepare for these colder months ahead. And what's so magical and beautiful about that is that nature doesn't rush the process. It moves in its own time. Some of it quickly, some of it slowly. It seems like you kind of notice the temperatures seem to be more drastic, but I think it's because you're used to those hot, warm summer days. But the trees, look at all the trees around you. Some of them appear to change overnight, while others, it is this gradual shift from green to yellow to orange. And I think that there's a lesson in that for all of us. How often do we rush through life? Seriously, not even noticing when we've crossed from one chapter to the next. I mean, I can tell you how many times in the last couple of weeks that out of habit, I've just driven in certain ways, totally spacing out and not thinking about where I was going and forgetting to make the turn where I should have turned, but just out of habit going the direction I always go. Because we're often so focused on the destination and what's next that we forget to acknowledge the space that we're in right now. Which is kind of ironic that I literally will drive past the destination because I'm actually focused on what I've been doing out of habit, right? But the point is that we don't always take a moment to pause. And we don't take a moment to realize, hey, something is shifting something is changing. Something in my life is different. And most importantly, it's recognizing that that subtle shift, it's maybe okay. It may be exactly what you need in your life to move forward in a bigger, bolder, more exciting way. So today, I want you to slow down. I want us to talk about these moments of change. These times when we're transitioning from one phase to another, and how we can be more intentional about noticing them. So let's think about that for a second. What does it mean to experience a shift, a change, a difference in your life? I think many of us tend to think of change as something really big, something like moving to a new city or starting a new job or going through some major life-changing event. But that's not the only kind of change that we experience. Change is really happening all the time in these subtle little ways. It could be anything from how you're evolving emotionally, mentally, spiritually, to even physically. But there's change happening in us every day. And here's the thing. Those subtle shifts are just as important, probably even more so important, than those major changes. Because these are the moments that set the stage for everything else. And sadly, they're so easy to miss because we're often too busy looking ahead, planning for what's next, to even notice. I mean, how many times have you found yourself thinking, I'll be happy when? I'll be happy when I have made $1 million. I'll be happy when I'm in the best shape of my life. I'll be happy when I get a new car, whatever it is. Or how about this? I'll feel accomplished once I get to that next stage. If I just reach that next goal, I'll be happy. We're so focused on that next milestone that we don't take the time to acknowledge right where we are right now. And let's be honest, sometimes we don't even realize we've moved into a new season of our life until it's already even passed. God, I mean, I can't tell you how you always hear a parent say, God, life just flew by. The kids went from babies to teenagers to out of the house. And it's so true. It's so true because you often get so busy in the day to day. And I now being in that phase myself, Jeff and I being in this phase of not having kids in the house, I can hear myself telling friends that have younger kids, pay attention. But I can also tell you that while we definitely weren't perfect, I loved every moment of our kids growing up. I loved every phase. A lot of people would get hung up on, oh, my baby's not a baby anymore. Or, you know, my babe's now a teenager or whatever. But I loved each and every year of their lives. Sure, there was certain years that they weren't maybe my favorite people. We all go through that. But in general, I think that Jeff and I did a good job of staying present in that moment. And I'm so grateful we did. I'm really grateful we did because now I have these memories looking back of all those changes and those wonderful changes. And I can see each step of their lives. But what's interesting is I was really focused on them. I was so focused on them that I think I missed a lot of the changes within myself. And that's nothing to brag about. I wish that I could have taken the time to focus a little bit more on me. I'm not saying less on them, but a little bit more on what I was experiencing and pay attention to how those portions of our life were impacting us. But I can't go back. But what I can do now is not let things fly by, not get so busy, which I hate that word. I hate the word busy. So let's replace that with something else. Not get so caught up in the habits of day-to-day life that I move so fast into a new season that the one I'm in right now just flies by. It's already passed. So let's think about the last time you had a major realization that something in your life shifted. Whether it was your mindset, your relationships, your goals, whatever it was. Did you notice in that moment? Or did you only look back later and say, wow, I've really changed? It's so easy to miss this because life keeps us moving, right? It keeps us moving at such a fast pace. That's the world we live in today. It's unfortunately why it's so good for us to unplug and stop for a minute, because the world moves like this. And so we're trained to move like this, and we miss out on so much. So today, I want to encourage all of us to slow down. Slow down and take a look at the moments of transition that are happening right now. Let's explore how we can do that. How do we become more aware of these subtle shifts? How can we embrace the change and use it as a tool for growth instead of letting it just pass by unnoticed? How can we do that? So here's the first thing I want you to do. Take a deep breath. Right now, take a deep breath. Whatever you are, driving, sitting in the home, out for a walk, just breathe. And in the space, I want you to think, what's changing in me right now? What am I transitioning through? Big or small, or even both? Is there a shift in your energy? Is there a shift in your focus? Is there a shift in your relationships? A shift in your home? Maybe you're feeling more motivated. Or maybe you're realizing you need to let go of something that's been holding you back. What is it? What's shifting in you? Whatever it is, identify it. Give it a name and acknowledge what is happening. My shift is a shift in confidence. It's a shift in my confidence in my ability to, as a writer. You know, I told you all that I have this chapter in this book that comes out here in October, which I'm super excited about. And I was so afraid to do. But once I did it, I gained some confidence. And then I think I've told you all, but maybe I haven't, that I've been asked to write another chapter in another book. And that's creating this massive confidence in those skills that I have in myself that I knew I had, but it's shifting in me. I can feel it. I can feel that I'm not so nervous. I can feel the excitement. I'm also shifting my confidence in my real estate business. I feel more comfortable in a leadership role. I feel more comfortable teaching. I feel more comfortable knowing that I have worth and value and that others see that. Like I see that shift in me. I see the lack of fear of telling people that I'm worthy of something. And that all comes down to confidence. That's my label. That's what I'm going to label this season of change for me right now. And it's a beautiful thing. And maybe yours isn't so dramatic. And that's not really actually a dramatic thing. That has been happening over time. I'm just sitting in it and acknowledging it and recognizing it. Maybe your shift, maybe it's a bigger shift. Maybe your life has been out of control and it's coming into this clear vision of where you're heading and where you want to go. Maybe it's something else. Maybe you have been working on this goal or dream and you have shifted your mind to say it's okay to take longer. It's okay to take a baby step forward. Really, whatever your shift is, whatever is changing in you, just acknowledge it. Acknowledge it's happening, because change is good. Change is inevitable. Change is happening no matter whether you want it to happen or not. It's happening. So recognize it, identify it, and lean into it. Now I want you to think about where you've been. Over the last few months, what have you been working toward? What have you learned? What challenges have you faced? Just take a moment and reflect on that. Think about where you've been so you can see where you're going. Often, we don't take enough time to look back and appreciate how far we've come. And I promise you, we've come a long way. I have. I mean, think back to the very first podcast. Think back to the moment that I told you all that I was starting Thrive Mindset. I myself have changed. I've evolved. And so if I have, over these past few years, I have no doubt that you have too. Your journey is just your journey. It's different than mine. But reflect on it and think about all the amazing things you've done. And then I want you to think about where you're going. Look ahead. But this time, do it with some intention. What do you see coming for yourself in this next season? What do you want to carry with you into this next chapter? And what do you want to leave behind? Set that intention now. Set it. Set it so that you can embrace this change. Set it so you can use this change. Set it so that you can make leaps and bounds forwards within this changing time. There's a lot of power in recognizing that you're in a moment of transition. When you realize you're in this space between one phase and the next, you have the ability to influence where you're going. It's like standing on a bridge, right? It's like looking one way and seeing where you've been, and then looking the other way to the other side of the bridge and seeing where you're headed. You get to decide how you're going to cross that bridge. You get to decide if you're going to skip across, drive across, walk across, ride your bike across. You get to decide. You get to decide how fast you go or how slow you go. It is all in your control. But so often we're on autopilot. So often we're in that car just driving along and going to the last place we went, or doing the things we normally do. We're just going through the motions without really thinking about what's next. But when you pause and you recognize that we're in a moment of change, well, we can make those choices that align with where we want to go. One of the things I love about fall so much is this natural reminder of all this. The leaves don't just rush to change colors. They do it in their own time and when they're ready. They let go and then float gently to the ground. It's seriously a process, and there's something so peaceful about it. We really should take lessons from them. So what if we gave ourselves some grace? What if we stopped rushing through life and instead allowed ourselves to move through change with intention and awareness? What would happen then? How different would the world feel? How different would things feel if we just pause long enough to appreciate the season we're in right now? Here's the thing. If nothing else, I want you to take away one thing from today's episode. And that is that change is constant, but it's also full of possibility. When you take the time to notice that there's these moments when you're shifting from one phase to another, you open up this space in your heart, the space in your mind, this space in the universe to grow and to reflect and choose that path forward with purpose. So this week, I'm going to challenge you. Slow down. Look for those moments of transition in your life. They're there. Whether it's a change in your mindset, a relationship, or even just your approaching goals. When you recognize them, you'll step into them with intention, and you won't be just letting things happen to you. You'll be in control of where you're going. And that's how we manifest. We are in control of what is happening. We are not letting life just happen to us. Life is happening for us. So as you move into this beautiful new season, let's embrace the change. Let's embrace everything that's happening around us and within us. Let's give ourselves permission to pause, reflect, and choose how we want to move forward. Thank you all so much for joining me every single week on Thrive Mindset Podcast. I really hope that this episode resonated with you, and I'd love to hear your thoughts. So send me a message, leave a review, share this episode with someone you might need a reminder to slow down, embrace the changes happening within them. And until next time, remember that I believe in you, and you can manifest the life of your dreams.